personal newsroom desk in a closed office out of the open. The space will be shared with a limited number of like-minded media innovators. It also comes with access to the boardroom for meetings and events at the hub. Next is the Office Special. If you produce content regularly, you can upgrade from the Office Desk to Office Special package, which also comes with access to studios, camera equipment, and trainings at the hub. The Hub Premium package is for media startups or companies with a team of up to 5 people and need a dedicated office for your team. The Hub Premium package has you in mind. You get your own furnished office with access to the TV and radio studios, boardroom, editing suite, and pantry. Lastly, the Hub Star. If you are a journalist or content creator who needs a special news or content team to handle your content creation, from pre to post-production, sign up for any of the above packages and top up with the Hub. With this, you can run a news platform without doing the dirty job of producing the content. Alongside access to studios, equipment, internet, office space, and the MCI community, the expert MCI production team will produce your content as is planned and agreed. To find out more about our co-working packages or make a booking, reach out to us and let us chat. For more information, find us at Tirupati Mazma Mall, Kawalagala, Kampala. Email us at info@mciug.org and visit our website www.mcimediahub.com. Contact us on +256 775 434 172 or +256 705 807 674. Follow us on our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at MCI Media Hub. MCI Media Hub, amplifying media innovations.
Number 1 for today's hits and all-time favorites.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Society faces numerous challenges that are underreported or even ignored.
People are finalizing their tuition payments, finalizing their coursework so that they can actually be able to do the exams when the time comes.
There is no resting time.
At the speed and the rate at which this country is actually going.
Peace is scattered and getting lost in the process. From the education, political, social, economics, and health sectors.
I remember for me, I padded from home to school for all the 7 years.
If you want the best for your kid, take them to school you can afford.
That cow brought down a whole empire. The puzzle dissects and provides solutions to these pressing challenges in an informative, analytical, entertaining manner that appeals to young people.
It's just that they are giving us sneak peeks, what Muganda can call Okunkubuka.
Oh my goodness, I really feel old.
Maybe to just add on, we've not had a lot of accountability.
Join the discussions every weekday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
This is my office, yo.
I mean, we could actually come in pajamas, right? And no one would know.
No one would understand what you're putting on.
The puzzle, every piece in its position.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
It's Tunes Tuesday on the Breakfast Puzzle.
The hits just keep on coming.
Ashensia, Steph London Bunny remix. When you
years of fresh hits, fresh talent, and connecting all universities. Download the MCI Radio app on Google Play Store, the home of the African Voice, a free internet radio on radio.mciug.org.
King music.
You're the first, you're the last, firstborn of all creation. You're the Alpha and Omega, beginning of my joy and the end of my sorrows. Yeah. Go 'cause you take them all away. Yeah, you take away the pain. Yeah, you came and broke the chains of my life. Give you all the praise. Yes, I give you all the praise. Day in and day out. Na 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 na. Me love it when you come around. Every time I call on you, and you're always here on time. Oh Lord, come around and scatter, scatter, scatter the enemy. Shatter, shatter, shatter the enemy. Fire, fire, fire the enemy. And we can't see them no more. Scatter, scatter, scatter the enemy. Shatter, shatter, shatter the enemy. Fire, fire, fire the enemy. And we can't see them no more. Telia kusola, ofugo, fugo, fuga. Telia kweka, number one ninja, all time winner. Gankoye, ganmanye, mukama rwana nabo, abarwana nange. Well, let me land it, you don't need to fight it. I am Jerusalem, I am the Judah them. Oh, kano kenku funye, kanku tijise, kenku funye, balabe banku bide. Come around and scatter, scatter, scatter the enemy. Shatter, shatter, shatter the enemy. Fire, fire, fire the enemy. And we can't see them no more. Scatter, scatter, scatter the enemy. Shatter, shatter, shatter the enemy. Fire, fire, fire the enemy. And we can't see them come around and scatter. The enemy shatter. The enemy fire. The enemy. And we can't see them no more. Scatter. The enemy shatter. The enemy fire. The enemy. And we can't see them no more.
Come on, what them all on the jet? Oh, what them was so city. Look at all, look at all the jeopardy. Made a money, oh, and I'm about to see oh, Pate Kusanya. Yeah, on it, I is so up. Oh, on you say, we want to come with him. On Sango Damasik. On what did they entitle? Come your cousin, foot number Jody. Got him foot number Jody. Season. Seven, hallelujah. Nigga, devil, artista. Boy, I need a mama. Angenda simba kakompola. Que viruto vyasika. Yokuwa bulungi vyasika. Wendo kwata kumukono rachisa. Nokulembera Don't try to see the summer, no kwata kumasonita langa ndimududire kumabali agamasamate wamunebalabe wange teketembeza osiza amafuta kumutoe igikombe kiwa uyakoze vuna majoli kati vuna majoli usinze zero hallelujah nengera jevude watisa
A beautiful jam it is, ladies and gentlemen, bringing us to exactly 18 minutes of 8 a.m. this beautiful morning. I just want to actually say it is a beautiful one coming in from Carol Commerce. The title of the song is Vunama. And of course, we start off with a beautiful jam there in. And of course, we earlier on had Scatter from the Anointed Crushers on that particular note. But a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a brand new day. It is a Tuesday. Yes, it is the 5th day of July 2022. We're super excited to actually have you aboard. It is the Breakfast Puzzle with yours truly, Joseph Elshaddai. And of course, on a Tuesday, I have my usual suspect, that is Cyber. Good morning, Cyber Chichi.
Good morning, Elshaddai, Joseph, and of course to everybody tuned in to MCI Radio, the coolest internet radio for African voices is what we are. It is a beautiful morning, like you did say. I love the jam that you played before, Mvunama, that's Scatter.
Exactly.
It's a nice jam, of course. When you listen to this song, like I told you, some of the music that we play on Tuesday, since it's Tune Tuesday,
exactly,
it has some good message that I sometimes sit before even we get on air and I think about and I'm like, yeah, this jam is talking about scatter away from, negative people, from the enemy. You don't have to do bad to the enemies.
Exactly.
Just keep on doing what you do. If you're doing good, keep doing good. Yeah, God will cater for them. Yes, scatter.
Amazing. Of course, it is a Tunes Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, and what we always do on a Tunes Tuesday is to drop you those jams that will definitely stick like glue in your mind at the end of the day. I must actually say it's going to be a very nice drift and drive across through the hours and the time that we are going to be in this beautiful space. We earlier on told you on our socials that we'll definitely be having a team from Startup Africa, and of course, we'll definitely be able to understand a couple of things in there. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, allow us get into our jump start as we see what this new day actually brings on this particular one.
We know that it can be hard to get your brain moving after a long sleep. Jumpstart your brain this morning. They seem easy but logically challenging. The Jumpstart on the puzzle. Every piece in its position.
Amazing. On a jumpstart today, ladies and gentlemen, we definitely do have one simple question for you where we definitely make it, intentional to actually ask you a particular question to actually check your brain and see why you slept on the right side of the bed.
Some people wake up and I'm like, hey. They have this conversation they usually bring up, like, when Zukang and Mahadekurite
but those are all myths, but actually there is someone who told me that if you want to know that you're rich, ekitanda tekirina kutuuka eri ku kisenge, ebitanda by'abagagga tebituuka ku kisenge. I was like, kati saiba tunulira bwakatanda ke kali eri ku kisenge
ngafachi
space olekayo yachi oli busigo lumo olekayo space
olugende paka you have to get closer to the wall.
Amazing. But on the jump start today, ladies and gentlemen, we definitely ask one simple question: what goes up but never comes down? It is as simple as that. What goes up but never comes down?
What goes up but never comes down?
Yeah.
It's
think about it, and of course, by 9 a.m. we'll definitely be getting an answer from you. And of course, past that, we don't take in any
we
other
don't
answers.
have to have such conversations of gravity. Gravity.
Don't take science munji. Don't have science munji. Go on to our social media platforms, ladies and gentlemen, and let us know about that particular one. You can use our Twitter, that is MCI Radio UG, our Instagram, which is MCI Radio UG as well, and Facebook, which is MCI Radio. You can definitely tell us in that particular manner. And alternatively, you can use our WhatsApp number, which is 077-0531-962, and tell us that particular one. You can send us an audio note or a text message or a WhatsApp message at the end of the day. Other than that, we're definitely still rolling on. It's a Tune Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, and we're still enjoying some cool vibes that are coming in through later on. We're coming back with what is happening in the dailies. I've actually seen a day, I've seen a school that was burnt by students. I was really so shocked, and I was like, kids of this generation no longer want to study.
I think that was last week, Tuesday. We were talking about, strikes in school. We're talking about Makerere.
Exactly.
Those students that had been suspended, and they were close to the National Unity Platform because there is a lot of politics in Makerere. And we're talking about such things. What is calling up and getting to, we get to that situation of having students and vandalizing property, getting to strike. They make the lives of some other people, even those that are not even schooling.
It has now, come from up at the universities, level, now to secondary schools.
But things have been happening, and when police are tried, by the way, because of so many cases that have been on burning schools, police gets into investigations.
Definitely, right there. We are also going to go into investigations to find out what really happened when we were asleep. When we return in our news previews, ladies and gentlemen, it's a Tunes Tuesday. Enjoy this particular jam from D-Rain. We'll definitely be back just in a bit. Good morning.
It's Tunes Tuesday on the Breakfast Puzzle.
Abatabazi mukomaraga mugwere bagambe by'umushinja kirabana umushinja tipugira abo bashwera ningiye by'umugabo wa Sayuni kasije karamare nyakusinga eshabata kumanya bakweta kandi amazina nkakwetera ekituntu cy'Uganda ekituntu cya Yesu niwe mugabe wa Sayuni ijorebe natamba Yesu natamira bona ijorebe natamba Yesu natukunda ukunde takugambwa ijorebe natamba Yesu natamira bona ijorebe natamba. You call me out the darkness, now I'm in the light, walking like a star, yes the future bright. You're my lullaby all through the night. In a fight, you're the night, clean as white, I know you're right. Jesus, you're truly my medicine, healer of my soul, washed away my sin. Our hearts intertwined together, you and I have no doubt, no doubt about it. Awasisa katufera rukundo ya Yesu. Your love like a fire in my heart. You and me can never be apart. You fell in love with me right from the start, right from the start. When you're walking in the West, I know he knows the pain. I lived a life of drugs and pain until he called my name. Look at me now. Look at me now. Oh, yes, barire nabaruhire Yesu natamba Yesu natambira bona Ijorebe natamba Natamba Yesu natambira bona Ashe Yesu natukunda rukunde takugambwa Yesu natambira bona
You're listening to AMCI Radio, the coolest internet radio. AMCI Radio for African Voices.
Great vibes, great music, and great conversations on the coolest radio show on air. You heard the mashup with TK only on MCI Radio, Monday to Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
You're listening to AMCI Radio, the coolest internet radio. AMCI Radio for African Voices.
Are you a parent afraid of your child's use of social media, putting restrictions and passwords on their gadgets, yet you have no time to do so? Well, Media and Information Literacy for Children is a program for you and your child to learn how to navigate the media landscape, acquire soft skills, and appreciate the role of media in their lives. Sign up your child for the Meal for Kids trainings at the MCI Media Hub or the Meal for Kids annual bootcamp. Meal for Kids, meant for children.
You're listening to AMCI Radio, the coolest internet radio. AMCI Radio for African Voices.
Society faces numerous challenges that are underreported or even ignored.
Young people are finalizing their tuition payments, finalizing their coursework so that they can actually be able to do the exams when the time comes.
There is no resting time.
At the speed and the rate at which this country is actually going.
Peace is scattered and getting lost in the process. From the education, political, social, economics, and health sectors.
I remember for me, I padded from home to school for all the 7 years.
If you want the best for your kid, take them to school you can afford.
That cow brought down a whole empire. The puzzle dissects and provides solutions to these pressing challenges in an informative, analytical, entertaining manner that appeals to young people.
It's just that they are giving us sneak peeks, what Muganda can call Okunkubuka.
Oh my goodness, I really feel old.
Maybe to just add on, we've not had a lot of accountability.
Join the discussions every weekday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
This is my office, yo.
I mean, we could actually come in pajamas, right? And no one would, no one would know.
No one would understand what you're putting on.
The puzzle, every piece in its position.
It's Tunes Tuesday on the Breakfast Puzzle.
I know you're gonna ask for anything today. I know you're gonna tell you how I need you, yeah. You know I do. If for anything I wanna give you praise, 'cause you gave me these gifts, baby, just to do it for you, yeah. See, I didn't ask so many things I know. And you give it up for sure, but you ask so on. The only thing I know I can need. So let me pour my heart run through the music for you right now. Let me do the dance still, let me play the drums mellow. Make it know it's so settled, I can do it on top of my voice. Let me sing a melody, yeah, melody for you. A melody, yeah. Let me sing a melody, yeah, melody for you. A melody for you. Let me sing a melody, yeah, melody for you. A melody, yeah. Let me sing a melody, yeah, melody for you. So when I wake up in the morning, I want you to be the first thing for my head. We could be the first priority through the day. You got no other kind. From the creation story, oh, you need a cool like a booty. So let me pull my heart out, run through the music for you right now. Let me do the dance, let me play the drums better. Make a joyful note, so settle. I can do it on top of my floor. Let me sing a melody, yeah, melody for you. A melody, yeah.
For you, a melody for you, yeah. Say, melody, yeah, melody for you, a melody, yeah. Beautiful jam coming in from a one Nick Manox. That other song is Melody. It is one of those beautiful jams that I would definitely put on a playlist over and over again. I repeat it.
It never disappoints. Next never disappoints.
Exactly.
Great music, and of course, Tune Tuesday, Naxta, we got you here. And for the people that are tuned in, check out for more music from this guy. He has great
He's
music.
actually amazing. He has now, I think, turned into a producer. He's no longer,
does a lot of things.
He no longer produces a lot of...
He's a pastor and then a producer.
Yeah, he's a producer. He's a music producer. He actually started up, a studio, and I think he's into mastering how to produce music. So he actually took a break from producing
only
music.
Gospel music.
Exactly.
So basically, when I speak about his, being pastor, how is it going to be juggling all this? He has to attend to the artists at the studio, because producers, they spend much of the time in the studio.
He will definitely have, the capacity to balance all the things that he definitely does.
Yeah, by the way, I think he will, because before you start up something, you have to be having a plan.
Exactly.
How it's going to be like.
So he's actually doing very well, and I met him at the Fuse, over the weekend, and we had a chat. He has a lot of plans that are coming up, projects that are coming up, music that he has produced for fellow artists, and several other things that he's definitely doing. But at this particular moment in time, 33 minutes of 8 a.m., ladies and gentlemen, we just want to get into our news previews and find out what really happened, where, how, and what impact did it create right here on the Breakfast Puzzle.
As you took a nap all through the night, a lot took precedence. We gather for you what happened as we look into the dailies and provide broader coverage of particular issues. Right here on the puzzle, every piece in its position.
All right, like we did tell you that when you are asleep, a lot of things definitely go ahead to happen. We first of all told you that there is a school that has been burnt, of course, by students, striking students. I really don't know what reason are they giving for striking, and what are the implications?
Reasons they're giving, they're saying they have had a number of grievances that they wanted the school administration to address. And some of the issues or the grievances that they had, they're saying poor meals, food. We're talking food here. And this school, by the way, is in Masaka, Blessed Sacrament, Chimanya.
Is it the school that had a clip circulating where kids were being served with, literally water?
Those were necessarily kids, because this is a secondary school.
Okay.
But then that clip also got me into thinking.
But if I'm at that school and we're served such kind of meal, there is no way I couldn't, demonstrate or strike.
I'd demonstrate, but strike then. But these people reached to an extent of burning down a school.
Which is really sad.
Burning the dormitory. And some other reason, or what they're giving, they're saying continued absence of water in the school. But then water is key.
That's reason enough for them to strike.
For the strike, but then they went overboard, burning down a dormitory. Because what we have here, we do have 12 students have been arrested and others suspended for burning a school dormitory.
That's really sad. I don't know why strikes and demonstrations are actually on a spike, most especially in higher educations of learning. As I look into the dailies here, news coming in from Chambogo University still suggests that 6 students have been arrested for spearheading protests against such charges, and a lot of different things that have been going on. Of course, no one expected a chaos of any kind since the guilty speaker had clarified that there wasn't going to be any general assembly regarding the discussion of the hiking of the tuition fees and missing marks like the rumor had it earlier on. But of course, it is allegedly said that the NUP leaders were so determined to hold this assembly that when it wasn't approved by the speaker, they instead, held a press conference in one of the, the rooms at the university. And of course, this led into the where
They're getting something from Makere to Chambogo now.
Exactly. It all began with, enlarged male voices, doors banging, chairs breaking, disorganized sounds of footsteps, and of course, people screaming, girls seeking refuge wherever they could actually find it, and everyone running out of the lecture rooms at the end of the day. But suddenly, all teaching and learning, came to a standstill. Everyone ran about on the compound, and of course, others fled the campus at the end of the day for safety. And of course, about 6 of them have been arrested in that particular manner. I don't know what could be the reason, in that particular case, because it is the same paper that actually comes out where the Chambogo University Guilty president requests administration to sort of, extend the late payment date and, for most especially for continuing students. So I really don't understand it really clearly.
There is something that most of those schools that have not yet done. I think, because like Chambogo has not existed for 2 years. They have worked, of course, they have dealt with many more students, those that are already in the working field.
Exactly.
Everywhere. So they have not existed for 2 years, like I said.
They have been here for so long.
For so long. Because such things, when they have to be, I think there is supposed to be a huge bond between the students' leaders and the administration.
The administration.
Because the students' leaders, basically, what they do, they are voted into power. They're on ground. They don't know. They know what's happening. And then we don't have to, Chambogo doesn't have to act blind on what's happening in the country. In the country, right now, the economy is down. People are looking for money. And, university has a catalog of, different people from different homes. There are people that are coming from homes with a humble background where parents can't afford all the money to pay at, to do one payment, to clear the fees.
In just one take.
In one take. And then we have those that we call the hustlers that want to be educated. They want to, attain the certificate.
Who want to pay the money in bits.
In bits, in installments. Then there you have to be understanding. Yeah?
Clearly.
Because when you give a deadline for, payments, let's say it's a bit like getting me, not understanding what they're doing. It's university people, there are people that work. They work. They have.
But striking could not be the only solution in that particular world, cyber. We've all been into universities and secondary schools whereby you're being chased back and forth, go home, but you can't just start up a strike at the end of the day.
Like I say, striking it is compelled over some reasons, but it can be avoided because we have had issues of tuition everywhere. It's not Chambogo alone. All the universities everywhere. All the institutions, they have to understand that what's going on in the country, the economy is down. People are not earning like they used to be earning. Okay, they may be earning like they used to earn, but then the expenses everywhere. Fuel prices are hiking every day. People have to pay rent. We're in July.
Amazing. We'll definitely see and follow up on how things will definitely run. But good news coming in from Makere University Business School indicates that the Chester, that is Hereze Joan, to represent Uganda in the World University Mind Sports Championship that is set to happen in September, that is in Belgium. She actually won a competition that was held at the campus and she became victorious. That was between 2nd and 3rd July. That was over the weekend, I think. And of course, she will now raise the Ugandan flag so high in the forthcoming, a competition that will be held, in Belgium, representing Uganda and moves at the end of the day. I think it's a very good move.
It's a very good move. It's amazing. We do have so many people, but then if she's one of those that are going to represent the country in the chess competition, it's so amazing. But then still about the good news, we do have some good news. The teachers have held off the strike.
The strike.
Yeah, they're back. They have suspended it. And these are arts teachers. they have not been attending to students for some weeks now. But then yesterday we got good news that they reached at an agreement with the president. They met with the president at Colorado. Then they discussed a lot of things. Then the president was like, let's first handle something. We shall work on the issues of the arts teachers. This is so great, and it's adding up to students, because the students have been being cheated on, because if the only science teachers that were attending to them, and we have to accept in Uganda, on a percentage of 100% in a class, we do have those, I think we have like 30% of those that go with the sciences. 70% go with the arts.
Amazing. It is actually good news that teachers have called off the strike in that particular manner at the end of the day. So we basically want to understand how are they going now to transition back into their classrooms, and are they ready to actually take on classes at the end of the day. But other than that, we just want to appreciate each and every single person that is listening in right about now. It is 40 of 8 a.m. This beautiful morning. We earlier on told you that we'll be definitely having a team, a representative from the Start Hub Africa to actually share with us a couple of other things. You understand? We live in in a generation whereby things are definitely being riding on innovation, technology, creativity, and different other things at the end of the day. But of course, we want to understand what StarHub actually is doing, most especially in championing the ecosystem of innovators, most especially here in Uganda and across the entire continent at the end of the day. And we're super privileged that we have the representative. One of them, he will definitely be introducing himself to us. Mr. Matthias, good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Puzzle.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Maybe for starters, someone would love to understand who Matthias is and, of course, what do they do in Startup Africa?
Wow, thank you so much. So my name is Matthias, and I'm originally from Germany. I'm one of the co-founders of Startup. We started Startup in 2017, working with 5 universities in Uganda. And this is where everything started, more in a project context, but there was so much demand and need for what we were doing with the universities in the entrepreneurship space for students, that we just kept going. Back then I was still a student. Actually, I'm a student of sciences. You just talked about sciences, art studies. I'm a physicist, and I'm a physicist who never wanted to go into physics and into science and work in a lab. So entrepreneurship for me was in a way, it was a way out. It was a way out because you don't need a business degree to start something, right? No one cares, no one asks.
Amazing. A scientist, physician, getting to...
Not physician, physics.
Physics. Yeah, yes. Physics. You dealt with physics when you're in school.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so amazing because I don't know how you get to, get into something like entrepreneurship. How does it come in your mind and you're like, we need to get into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've always been doing a lot of things during university, and that's one of the best advice I could give any student anyways out there. Do as many activities, projects, whatever you can, because finally school, and that's most places worldwide, it's theoretical and so on. You learn the real stuff out there. Start a business, do good internships. There are internships where you don't learn a lot, or run projects. There's student groups. We have student clubs at universities. Run projects, do things. Just do, organize, and throw yourself into it. And that's how I got from science to elsewhere, because I never wanted to be in science, so I looked for other things. So I ran projects, and step by step, I got into entrepreneurship. And then, yeah, you already have the confidence as you get an idea.
So it's like it doesn't matter which course you're doing. Even if you're a science student, you need to have this broad mind and think about entrepreneurship. You've gained a lot from entrepreneurship more than the science.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I think there's a big value to science, and I love it. I just don't want to be a scientist. I don't want to do science and research every day. I love to put things out there in the world, basically, and that's the beauty about entrepreneurship.
And innovating.
Yeah, exactly, because especially innovation, because it's about new things, putting
new
things
ideas
out there that are not there, and that's great because you see what you're doing every day, and that's quite fulfilling as well. But still, science is amazing, and it's a great base that helps me every day. Even though physics is, of course, quite far from everything that I've done, there are things where it's helpful. Be it when I think of financials, that things are easier if you know how to quickly calculate in your mind. That's a small thing maybe, but also just to see the viability quickly of things. That's really where science can help you to make quick evaluations and so on. So it's good. I wouldn't say one is better than the other.
I really want to understand, Matthias, what informs the background of starting up. You talked about that this started off in universities, and you've worked with several universities. What informs your I would call your ambition to actually tap into universities than any other communities?
Yeah. When we started Startup, we were all students, and all students that had benefited from entrepreneurship programs at universities in Germany. I'm from Munich, which is kind of the tech capital in Europe. Big tech companies have their headquarters here. And we have 4 big universities, and all of them have entrepreneurship centers, and they do amazing things, really, really good things. And I have learned a lot of things there, and my colleagues as well. So we had conversations with lecturers from a number of universities here in Uganda, and we learned that there's not too much structured entrepreneurship support at university. Of course, there's the programs that come in and go once in a while, but it's not very systemic. It's not intending to make entrepreneurship a core function and part of how universities work. And I think this was a big motivation because, as I said, as a scientist myself, I benefited so much from these programs, and just from learning that it's on me to start something. You just have to do it, and you can.
So you take on the responsibility that it's on you, not to the government, not to the
don't
leaders.
blame anyone. No, there are no jobs, nothing. And you can just do things on your own. Of course, it's not easy, and it depends on a variety of factors. But it's a possibility, and it's a really viable one. And I think this is at the core of what we're doing. It's the belief is there that you can use entrepreneurship as a tool for yourself personally to build a life, right? To become financially sustainable, independent, but also to do something fulfilling in line with what you want to do. But on a bigger scale, even entrepreneurship basically means that you're putting something out there in the world, a business or a social venture or whatever it is, that would otherwise not be there, right? Let's think about fintech. Like all the amazing fintechs that we see on the African continent, it is the biggest and fastest growing field with most investment on the African continent. It changes how we live our everyday lives. And that's amazing, right? It makes cross-border payments, it makes remittances, all these things much easier, and help people to step up their game. And that's the beauty. You put in new structures and systems that can benefit other people. And that's in every space: education, energy. If you have a great solution, you can really transform a community, a country, a continent eventually.
Maybe the other thing that I would love to understand, and maybe our listeners would want to pick interest from, why innovations? Do you think or believe that innovations are Africa's key to maybe, because we've grown up in schools where we've been taught, and they've always been telling us education is the key to success. And we all believed that. And apparently, as I speak, very many people now disagree with that particular notion. So should we actually say and have a different new mantra that maybe innovations and technology or entrepreneurship are Africa's new key to success?
Yeah, I think maybe a first comment, it's never one thing, right? You need a good education to do certain things. You need to learn a certain way of thinking, right?
To be able to innovate.
That's a big thing that you do at university. You transform how you think about the world, and that's important. Even if you start a business, I think you can get that from elsewhere, though, as well. So I would say this: innovation. So first, let me define innovation. Right? There's theories.
Sure.
I don't have to define it myself. Innovation is just a second step after an invention. So an invention it could be a prototype, it could be something technical, it could be a process invention, it could be a new way of doing things, right? So an idea, so to speak, right? Like something new. And innovation is just a second step when you actually market this invention already. Very often we use innovation in a wrong way, right? Oh, this is a great idea, this is an innovation. No, the innovation is when you actually already hit the market and it's being absorbed by the market. So this part of an adaptation of an invention is part of the innovation. Okay, so when we talk about innovation, ideally in the real sense, it means that people are using it and that there's an additional value to that. So why are innovations important? And I mean, it's basically already answered. People are already using it, right? So it's something that they want, because otherwise people don't use it. There's a billion apps on the App Store. How many do you have on your phone, right?
Yeah.
You will use what's useful for you.
Interesting. So, Mr. Matthias, when we speak about the vision for the startup, you're saying you're looking forward to create innovative and scalable businesses across Africa. So I would like you to shine a light more about the scalable businesses across Africa.
Yeah, sure. So about the first, one small thing about the innovation bit again. The key thing why it could be important for the African continent or anyone is that it can innovation can come in to solve problems. I think that's a big one. And you are in one way it's difficult, but it's also a blessing that in certain spaces there is not as much infrastructure as, for example, in Germany where I'm from or in the US. Why can it be a blessing? Let's talk about mobile payments. In Germany, people don't use mobile money at all, and it's just because there are infrastructures and systems in place. People just like to have their debit card and bank account. People they haven't even adopted credit cards too much in Germany. It's just because the systems are working. But actually, they are better systems. Just because the system is working doesn't mean that there couldn't be a better one. And if you don't have this structure in place, and you could think of it like more like a blank piece of paper, you can actually now, with the modern technologies, you can build better solutions than anywhere else in the world. And this is what's great here on the continent. And infrastructure could be in many places. It can be digital. It can be grids. So we can talk about energy, rural decentralized energy. It's easier than if you have centralized grids. So there's a lot of spaces like this. And then you asked about scalability. And I would say this: if you want to have massive, large-scale impact, you need to scale something, right? So something can be super nice, but if you only ever will reach 10 people, then it's still nice, but it's only nice for 10 people, not for 10 million people.
Maybe how about if my intention is to actually impact on a particular portion of people, like 10,000?
That's amazing. I love it. And don't get me wrong, we love any kind of business. I think I eat Rolex so many times. I love Rolex businesses, right? If you're a good Rolex,
that's Uganda's biggest export. Rolex.
It's great. We love it as well. But of course, you still need to have a focus, and we just support innovative and scalable businesses because that's what we think we are experts in and we can support. But also we see it's also a strategic and impact-wise choice that these are the kinds of ventures, but also entrepreneurs that we want to support. And you raise an important point that is very often overseen. I think the most important thing is that entrepreneurs take deliberate decisions about what they want to build, what products, but also what kind of business. Sometimes scale is not the solution. It's also stressful to scale a company, honestly. It's a lot of work, and it's not easy. You will face very different challenges than if you run a small company that's doing well, it's profitable with 4 or 5 people. It's very different. So people should just build what they want to build, what suits them, and I think that's a responsibility for us hubs and entrepreneurship support organizations to be people-centric and to understand and not be like, oh, we need to reach 50 people because that's what some donor says, but say, hey, what is your idea? What is your vision? What do you want to do? And really see if you actually want to and can support them or if you should not.
Maybe right before we go for a break, Mr. Matthias, I really want to understand what is the criteria, for Startup Africa to actually support an entrepreneur, an innovation. I really want to understand the process at which you actually come into terms to say that, Elshaddai here has innovated something that is going to help a community. How can we support them? What is the process like and the criteria being taken?
Yeah, it will depend from project to project because every project tries to yield something different, right? And has a different goal. I will maybe make an example for two of our continuous projects that we have in-house, not through partnerships, but we will always be doing them. One is the Launchpad, which is our work at universities, which is countrywide by now, where we have student clubs that we facilitate actually today.
In Uganda?
In Uganda, yeah, 10 universities. Actually today, our team until Saturday will be on a retreat with students and campus directors from 10 universities across the country and do a lot of sessions and trainings as they lead student clubs. So they pull in entrepreneurial students at their campuses to do all kinds of activities. We come in to do ideathons and other things. So the key criteria on there is, I'm excited about entrepreneurship, I want to join the club. You can just join the club anyway, no problem.
So joining the club is open?
Exactly. And then there are different activities, and you just apply, and they have their different criteria. So for example, for a startup academy that we run, you already need to have an idea, and there's a selection process, right? So we want innovations, so we are not supporting the Rolex guy there. Not because we don't like him, but because it's not the target group, right? Yeah. So this is more or less how it works there. And one general thing that I can say about selection for entrepreneurship programs, and we run something where we even invest some money and much deeper support. We have expert venture associates that give you 2 years of consultancy for your venture, basically. And here we are even way more selective. The main thing is that you're actually a doer, that you get things done, right? There's people that call me and say, hey, I'm doing this and this, I have this idea. And I just randomly have a half an hour phone call with them, and I ask them a few questions. They're like, oh, I have an idea now, let me go back. And then 2 days later, they call you and they tell you 10 things that they have implemented and done, and that they have gotten a few new clients, right? This is what we love to see. Because finally, there's a lot of things that you can write down in your books and brainstorm and make a nice pitch deck and all these things. But finally, running a business comes down to execution. So you need to be able to execute. You need to be able to focus and do the right things. If someone is just hanging out on social media and just taking selfies at startup events and that's nice, but it won't earn you a profit, right? I don't care about that at all. I think it's waste.
I think, my fellow young people, you're listening. Instead of going to events and take selfies, please maximize the opportunities available and be able to actually create something really amazing at the end of the day. We're taking a short breather. When we return, I have a couple of questions that are coming in from our listeners, Matthias, and one of them is, which sectors do you majorly support? Yeah. Are you in agriculture? All those sectors that we'll definitely be talking about shortly after this amazing break. We are MCI Radio for African Voices. We're taking a quick breather. We'll return shortly with Matthias. Good morning.
This is MCI Radio, the biggest and hottest internet radio that everyone's talking about. MCI Radio for African Voices. You're listening to MCI Radio, the coolest internet radio. MCI Radio for African Voices.
What happens if you're young, African and broke? What is the way forward for you?
Are you ready? It's about that time that we mash up your evenings. Great hits, great conversations, all for you.
Would you publicly slap a friend for talking about your chick?
Tune in to the Evening Mashup with Tracy K, Monday to Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. On the home of the African Voice, MCI Radio.
With thousands of listeners around the globe, MCI Radio rules the online radio broadcasting in Africa. Join the global village by downloading our radio app on Google Play Store. We are MCI Radio.
Are you a parent afraid of your child's use of social media, putting restrictions and passwords on their gadgets, yet you have no time to do so? Well, Media and Information Literacy for Children is a program for you and your child to learn how to navigate the media landscape, acquire soft skills, and appreciate the role of media in their lives. Sign up your child for the Meal for Kids trainings at the MCI Media Hub or the Meal for Kids annual bootcamp. Meal for Kids, meant for children.
You're listening to AMCI Radio, the coolest internet radio. AMCI Radio for African Voices.
It's Tunes Tuesday on the Breakfast Puzzle.
Gorgeous in the face, a diamond in the soul, a heart full of faith, and a mind full of gold, babe. Together forever, I assure you. My baby, my queen, I adore you. My world, that's all you. This song, that's for you. You can blush, let those eyelashes clap for you. Beauty behind the makeup. So in love with your maker, you make me better. Sunshine ukaseka, songatiniri nae wenaine ni mameka. Can walk in Proverbs chapter 31. The type to look 21 at like 81. You make me such a better person, but you still remain my better version.
My heartbeat, temuna ngoma, nikakuona. Shalo achipanga beta, beautiful, uzibe suliweka. Not at all, my heartbeat.
They call me names, but nine moko moko. Not tired, since I kaleka tipombo soke. People them just wanna talk, they talking all day. At now I'm gonna we don't want go so no gay. Thank God for the day ninago pesa. Never wanna part ways, take a chase. Fresh and clean, on kanda chabeyeka. But mami's on now my kids. I look at you proud like that smile. I'll tap into pumping for this very next line. Who knew?
She set an example for a generation, a first-class chick from a third world nation.
Articulate, always by my side. No matter how hard they can get, I have you on my mind. I have you on my heart, but never fully dressed until you're on my arm. You are so beautiful.
Shalo achipanga beta, beautiful, uzibe suliweka. Not at all, my heartbeat.
Chikashana walibumbwa nenkanda yobe yawe kwena balitunga. You're a queen. I will make you more than just a wife. I should kiss your pretty hand for every day you touch my life. We're settled muchikonde chatu tilinkezi pansi. Leta mutima wako mami nimverere bazi nikuvinire kadansi. Uli chinterelwe chandi, you my soulmate. Kwa salati siringe na chikwati. Happy is an understatement for what you make me. It's crazy the way you save me. You're so amazing, my baby. I cannot wait till we have a baby. Forever in your happiness, girl, I will be your safety. My yo andi what you did anyway. Oh, smiles, dating in my chitting your chain. And I promise not to hurt you, I will never run away. Girl, I want to spend forever and a day with you. So
Shalo achipanga beta, beautiful, uzibe suliweka. Not at all, my heartbeat. Temuna ngoma, nikakuona. Shalo achipanga beta, beautiful, uzibe suliweka. Not at all.
You're listening to AMCI MCI Radio, the coolest internet radio. MCI Radio for African voices.
So it is a summer running. Love unconditionally. What a thing, so. Lord, you lay down your life for me. Pay the price up. Love unconditionally. What a sentence. Give me your love, never take it back. Lord, me love you. You never know me life is in Christ and the way me have one nobody can touch. If them try to touch them off it think twice cause the greater one lives inside. In case you never know me life is in Christ and the way me have one nobody can touch. If them try to touch them off it think twice cause the greater one lives inside. You keep blessing me night and day. Your blessings never cease, you are giving to me every day. Every day, no holiday. Sweet me, yo. Jesus, they sweet me, yo. You know they feel me, yo. You know they feel me, yo. You know be man. You know they lie. Your love for me, they make my heart they jolly, yo. In case you never know, my life is in Christ and the way me have one nobody can touch. If they try to touch them, I'll think twice cause the greater one lives inside. In case you never know, my life is in Christ and the way me have one nobody can touch. If they try to touch them, I'll think twice cause the greater one lives inside. You keep blessing me night and day. Your blessings never cease, you are giving to me every day. Every day, no holiday. Right now the blessing, my light shines everywhere. I saw me sing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Sing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. You put a shout hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Sing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. You keep blessing me night and day. Your blessings never cease, you are giving to me every day. Every day, no holiday. Right now the blessing, my light shines everywhere.
Beautiful gem coming in from Agent Sniper. Title of the song is Unconditional. Playing to you at exactly 8 minutes of 9 a.m. We want to welcome you back. It is the second hour of the Breakfast Puzzle. My name is Joseph Elshaddai. I'm here with Saber and Matthias, trying to understand a few issues about, innovations, entrepreneurship, and several other things that we can definitely talk about. We are MCA Radio for African Voices, and we are located at Chilupati Mazima Mall. That is level 4. Of course, we are here to actually amplify media innovations at the end of the day in that particular manner. Walk into this amazing space, and of course, you'll definitely find more solutions than problems and challenges at the end of the day, because we do believe that journalism can definitely make a world a better place, of course, if well practiced at the end of the day. And that can only come when you are well educated, knowledgeable, and so much professional, most especially in the work that you do at the end of the day. And the MCI Media Hub has given you space and, a platform to actually, showcase all that you can definitely do in that particular manner. It's Tune Tuesday. Of course, we're still riding on this amazing one. Before we went for a break, we were definitely having a pending question here coming in from Isaac. He actually asks, which sectors do Startup Africa, of course, supports? Is there a section of sectors that you support and those that you do not, or it is actually overall?
We are sector agnostic. We more look at types of businesses. So you can classify businesses in many ways. Sector is one of them. We look more at the growth trajectory that they probably have in front of themselves, right? Let's take our Rolex man again. Probably the growth trajectory will look differently for someone who has a Rolex place than someone who's building a fintech. So,
how do you determine growth of that business? Because I think Startup Hub, because basically when you say you want to create innovative and scalable, I think this person can bring up an idea or an innovation before even starting up the business.
Yeah. So you determine it by revenue growth. That's mostly what you look at. So it's potential
of it as it starts up.
Month over month. No, the potential. So there's certain business models where you're like, this can every month it can grow 10%, 20%, 30%. Of course, these are extremely high numbers, but even 5%. But someone who has a Rolex stall, they will kind of have the same amount of Rolex that they sell every day, right? Because the same amount of people will more or less walk by every day. So there's not much growth in such kind of business.
So you're saying that somebody who's doing a Rolex business, the growth of the business income is at some level where that it gets to be fixed. Today it's this and tomorrow it's this for like a month?
Yeah, exactly, and even a longer period of time. Of course, you might get more known, people talk about you, so there can be a bit of growth. But let's say you're in the business for 3 years already. There's not so much more that you can get out of it unless you open a second branch, basically, or something like this.
But
then of course you could, let's look at Starbucks, or there's other examples, right? They found a way where they solved the real problem and really scaled up selling coffee and other beverages and snacks, and it was a high growth company for sure. It's also possible, and that's what we're looking at when we look at companies that we work with, especially in the Catalyzer program where we invest money. At the universities, also because it's more early stage and so on, it's much more broad. We work with all kinds of businesses. And by the way, we run projects where, for example, we work with urban refugee entrepreneurs, and it's mostly smaller businesses that they will build, and this is also good, but it's in this project context. So
should a project be entrepreneurial based, or it could be any project for as long as it is there to actually challenge the status quo?
Yeah. I believe, let's take media innovations, for example, right? We're in a media hub. Actually, we've worked with some media innovators. And I believe if you want to have a big impact, you also need to think about the business model. Even if you continuously want to raise grants, right? That's a revenue stream at least. You could think of it like a business, and I think it's helpful even for someone who is in the nonprofit space. Think about good and new ways how you can make money aside from just I want grants. And I think it's important because that's your lifeline. That's what gives you continuity. That's what can give you growth. And I think it's a useful tool, again, entrepreneurship for everyone, even if you just want to start a project. If you find a good way to monetize things around it, that's great. It will look different for every kind of business project and so on that you run, but I think it's a good one. So in this case, we would look at media innovators who also have an entrepreneurship mindset. That doesn't mean they need to be entrepreneurs yet or have studied business or anything, but this drive to make it work financially.
But then let's get to speak about, because you've said you've worked up with some universities in Uganda, over like 10 universities. And then you've said you've, of course, created some academies. We're talking the Startup Hub academies in those universities. How's the response from the universities?
Yeah, it's good. And actually, in the beginning, we worked directly with universities, signed MOUs and so on. And over time, of course, we learned how to approach it properly. So now it really depends on the university. Some universities still, it goes immediately through administration. They're like, no, we need to do this. We want to start off. And VCs or deans of business are really pushing for us to have a space inside of the university and for activities to continuously happen. At other universities, we start to work with the student bodies. And then they register student clubs and so on. And at some point, we sign MOUs with the administration because they are like, oh, wow, there's a lot of good entrepreneurship stuff happening here. Let's formalize this more and see what else we can do. We are open to everything. And I think every university and institution is different. Sometimes you just don't meet the right person also. Yeah.
So let's get to speak about structures. You were talking about having change makers in Africa. Let's get it broad to the people or to the listeners listening out there. When you speak about change makers and structures of guiding and helping the young change makers to develop ideas and to develop their businesses, how is it like?
That's a very good question. First, maybe a disclaimer. I'm a German, so I never have done any of the courses at universities. I think I should not be there, and I also would never judge what change making is. And I think this is a culture that we have, that it's the innovators to put in the ideas, and they know the problems in their communities, etc. Right? So they are the ones. We just give them tools to build something around the problems that they want to solve. That's basically our job. So how is it to work with change makers? It's amazing because that's basically people who have drive, who are doers. We talked about it, right? It's all about execution and doing the relevant things every day. And that's great. It's always positive vibes because they have a purpose. It's great to see when you have these conversations. It's amazing, yeah.
So, but you've not talked about structures. Let's speak about structures in broad. Yeah.
You mean the structure that we have to support? Yeah.
To support them.
Yeah. I think we talked about a journey a bit of an entrepreneur, right? And we look at adventures that can grow. So I think one important thing, and even about the individuals we talked, so one important thing is that everyone needs a different type of support at every different phase. There might be someone who maybe is doing everything right, but they just don't feel confident to go out there and do sales and actually talk to potential clients, right? So we need to build structures that they do the one thing that they need to do. So in terms of structures, my general answer is we do support programs that lead to relevant action. And I think this is where the practicality comes in, because it's not about someone talking about a certain topic and then everyone goes home. No, like a session should always...
You say the support programs that lead to action?
Yeah. So let me give an example. We are quite particular about, especially in the early stage, all the entrepreneurs, the people we are working with, but even in the later stages, they have to go out and talk to their customers. Some companies and entrepreneurs come to us even with revenue, and we still do the same thing. And this is action, and it usually transforms the way how they look at their business, because very often they haven't done it, or they haven't done it in a structured way. So the input that we give is, how do you conduct a good customer interview so that you actually learn the relevant things that you need to learn to grow your business. And there's always a bit of laziness, shyness in terms of going out and actually engaging with the audience.
The communities.
And this is one of the practicalities that we will always have, and there's many more in our programs, that you need to go out and talk to them. Like, do it. Yes, I know everyone has said it, but you need to do it. There's no way around it. No one knows these things already without having this conversation. You need to empathize and really understand. And this is, in terms of structures, I know I'm still a bit vague, but we need to build the right structures for entrepreneurs at different stages with their different problems. So at the universities, one structure is that of a student club. It has different functions and purposes. One is that it's a home for within the university where a student, I said it before, who's interested in entrepreneurship and in starting something can just join. And it fulfills a purpose, right? It's like, I want to start something, okay, let me first join the club. Then they have different activities all the time and build a network. That also has a function and a purpose. It makes sure that you have like-minded people, because your friends might not be entrepreneurs and your family might be saying, do something proper and get a job, right? So you need people around yourself who are also excited about starting something. So again, there's a purpose behind this structure. Then we have a structure of ideathons. And the purpose of it is that we have seen that many ideas are not solving deeper problems. And this is just because it's not so easy to come up with a viable idea that can scale and that actually solves a problem.
Yeah.
Right? So we need a structure to help someone dig deeper and find something that is more viable. And then we have startup academies, because once you have an idea, it's not easy, like what are my next steps to start off? And then we have the catalyzer, where we invest and give 2 years mentorship, because we have seen that continuous individual support is still necessary for the venture building, because there's so many day-to-day questions that you might not be able to answer. You have never hired, you might mishire, you have no idea how to structure a startup legally, because that can mess you up otherwise 2 years down the road when your co-founder drops out and they hold 50% of the shares, you have a problem, etc. So that you don't run into these problems. And of course, cash is also a challenge. So structures should always serve a purpose and not be there just for the sake of it, or because we love bureaucracy, because actually no one does.
Well, we still are enjoying a conversation with Matthias here, one of the co-founders of StartHub Africa, and he's actually, we are tapping into a very huge pool of his knowledge as he shares very many things about, innovation, entrepreneurship, and various other things. But of course, you can also be part of the conversation as it goes ahead to unfold. And of course, you can visit our social media platforms, that is MCI Radio UG on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can also follow the conversation on our YouTube channel, because we are streaming live, apparently, so that you can definitely get a visual representation of what is happening in this particular space. I might actually be describing Matthias, and you think he has a bad head. No, he doesn't have a bad head. He's a man,
from Munich.
Exactly. So if you want to actually see him and, see how he actually looks like, go onto our YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe and like each and every single thing that is actually going on. You can also be part of the conversation. Tell us how technology and innovations, and maybe even entrepreneurship, can unlock Africa's economic growth potential in that particular manner. I really want to engage Matthias in a very beautiful conversation. We very well understand that innovations are here to bridge gaps of unemployment. And from your own perception and observation that you've been able to work with communities and, of course, innovators, where do you see much potential? Which particular sector has much more potential? Is it the agriculture sector? Is it, technology? Is it media? What particular specific sector has much more potential to actually sprout more than ever?
Yeah. Oh, many. Of course, agriculture, especially in an economic crisis, will always be necessary because people need to eat. Right? But there's many others. I mean, we've talked about fintech, which is I think 62% of Africa's VC investment last year went into the fintech space. So more than half of all the investments. The rest just scattered across all the other spaces.
So should we say fintech is the way to go?
But you can't say that. We need everything, right? And
at what percentage?
No, you also can't say, because there might be this amazing innovation that we haven't thought of in the education space that everyone would be using, and it's not yet out there. So let's not bias people. I think the entrepreneurial drive comes from very different places, and most usually it comes from knowing a problem deeply. I mean, think about your friends, right? The things that they start are usually related to own experiences. And I think this is also quite important, because how are you going to solve a problem that you don't know about? Right. So this is key, and there is a lot of potential in all the different spaces. Often it's about execution and doing it in the right way. But of course, probably in media it's harder because there's so much free content, right? So you need to be way more creative and have a strong value proposition to actually get people to pay for things. So it's definitely, media I wouldn't say is an easy space. But why are you guys here, for example, right? Or friends that I know that are journalists. There's, again, you know the problems, you have a purpose for why you're sitting here and why you're doing what you're doing. I think this is actually quite key. But all the spaces, for sure. There's a lot of things that need to be uncovered, but it's good to understand these general dynamics that we just talked about. For example, what is people's spending habits, and why do they spend on something in a specific space? For example, media, right? A lot of content is free. We already said that. So it's not easy to just start something, even if it's good, and get people to pay for it. Because otherwise they're just like, maybe not. I'd rather buy something else and watch a free podcast. Something. So it's tricky. For food, of course, it's people always need to eat, but at the same time, almost everything is already being done, so you're competing with a lot of other people. So the profitability is not as high. Because if there's many people, then the profits just erode because people are competing the profits away. That's always how it goes. And that's where innovations also come in, because if you do something new that no one does, then you can set the pricing, because no one can say, I'm going to your competitor, right?
Exactly, because it's your own unique product that you are selling out there. No one has it.
Of course, the cats will come, but that's I always say you shouldn't be too worried about it. Just if you do it the right way, and you have a good shot probably at capturing the market and establishing yourselves and understanding the value proposition way better, because a copycat hasn't done these 10 customer interviews, right? And they don't know one thing that you know, which means that your customers are getting way more value and they will stick with you.
Okay, basically, from what I'm seeing on all the socials of Startup, it's basically so much been into East Africa, of all the regions of the continent. We have the Central Africa, we have the Eastern, West. Okay, we have the Western Africa, Northern. But why is it like at the startup, because you started in 2017, you've so much focused into East Africa?
I mean, we started in Uganda for various reasons. We had pre-existing contacts here and so on. So. And strategically, it also made sense for us. So we started in Uganda. Most of our operations are still in Uganda. We have our main office here with almost all our staff. So then that's clear, right? And then East Africa is just the region around. So if you run projects now, as we are starting to expand across the region, that's the next logical step. Go step by step. Don't fly before you crawl.
Okay, interesting. Don't fly before you do it, before you crawl. One thing I'd like to say, how is it like being for you working with innovators and entrepreneurs in Uganda and, of course, some regions of East Africa? So, okay, some countries from East Africa that you've penetrated to and worked with.
Yeah, you mean the differences between the countries?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one thing, again, in common, innovators that want to change the world and build new things, they share so much, right? They have this conviction, passion, drive every day. So that's quite exciting and quite similar. But of course, there are differences between the countries. And here in East Africa, it's a very, very diverse region, right? Historically, economically,
politically,
culturally, in all the ways. You just need to cross one border. It doesn't matter in which direction. If you go to Kenya, Rwanda, Congo, Sudan, South Sudan, or Tanzania, all very different countries. But in terms of the drive and motivation of innovators, not so much changes. I think the ecosystem and how they, or what they get to learn along the way changes because of just how their countries work. So, for example, in Rwanda, things are maybe a bit more structured. And there's actually also more grant funding. So let me just talk about these two things. Much more structure means they probably they look at compliance issues and what you need to put in place before you start a business first, as opposed to Uganda. And actually, I think that's a great competitive advantage for Uganda, because people can just start a business. Of course, then you still have to register, but you can just start running immediately.
Exactly.
And in Rwanda, there's maybe first some other question marks. And I've seen that being a problem, especially for student and young innovators, because the setup there might cost quite some money. So it is actually a hurdle to starting. But then the other thing is, for example, when it comes to grants, I've seen a lot of innovators in Rwanda speak about their startups as a project, almost all of them. So
they are projects.
Exactly, they're projects. This is my project, not this is my venture, this is my startup. It's a small thing, right? But it says something how you look at what you're building, right?
Yeah.
A project always sounds like nonprofit to me. I got used to it because first I was like, maybe they're not serious. But no, it's just the way how you're raised in the ecosystem, so to speak, right? They have a different language even for things. And it's quite interesting. But finally, the drive and so on, and the excitement and passion, I think there's a commonality worldwide, because that's what makes an entrepreneur also. By the way, it can be learned.
Amazing. We are definitely 30 minutes to the top of the hour, ladies and gentlemen. We just want to take a quick breather. When we return, we'll definitely talk about the sustainability of, innovations. And, because we've seen more than ever, some innovations start and go. we really want to understand what are the challenges and what could definitely be done better to see that there is sustainability in that particular manner. And when does a startup cease to be a startup? Maybe that could be also a question I'll actually venture into. That and more is what we're looking at, shortly after this break. Keep it MCI Radio because we are for African Voices. Good morning.
You're listening to AMCI Radio, the coolest internet radio. AMCI Radio for African Voices.
Hapa ndipo sasa, maana yake ndio mwanzo kupata fursa ya kuchangamka na MCI Radio. Life is too short. I want this kind of feeling. I want a special feeling. Utachangamka kwa mziki safi kabisa, hutaka kuburudisha, mada za kuelimisha, majadiliano yenye mafunzo ndani yake. Na katika yote haya ni kutoka kwa vijana walio vyuo vikuu ndani ya Afrika Mashariki. Changamka na vijana, tutakupamba sio tu kwa majadiliano na mada, bali utachangamka na simulizi zenye radha tofauti zilizojaa hisia, furaha na mafundisho kutoka kwa vijana walio vyuo vikuu. Ulikuwa umetenga mwezi kabisa. Mwezi mmoja. Hey. Msikilizaji, kama unasikiliza, this is really shocking. 100 CV. 100. This 1 2 up to 100.
Sasa mwezi ulipoisha, CV 100 zimeisha. Wacha nikae ningoje nione. Wataniita wapi?
Karibu na redio yako kila siku ya Jumanne, Alhamisi, Jumamosi, saa 4 kamili asubuhi hadi saa 5 kamili asubuhi kwa saa za Afrika Mashariki. Kumbuka, kijana ndio taifa la sasa, sio la kesho. Sura yako mzuri mama.
Have you heard, read, seen information and you weren't sure about it? Is it a Facebook post, TikTok video, news article or audio content? Look no further for the facts. We've got you covered. The D-Bank brings you all the facts on Uganda's first ever fact-checking show, clearly verified and investigated with detail and well-researched experts' analysis for you to make the right decision. Tune into MCI Radio every Friday at 2 p.m. for our audio fact checks and on our socials at the D-Bank Show every Monday at 11 a.m. for our video fact checks. The D-Bank Show. Stay verified.
You're listening to AMCI Radio, the coolest internet radio. AMCI Radio for African Voices.
But what happens if you're young, African and broke? What is the way forward for you?
Are you ready? It's about that time that we mash up your evenings. Great hits, great conversations, all for you.
Would you publicly slap a friend for talking about your chick?
Tune in to the Evening Mashup with Tracy K, Monday to Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. On the home of the African Voice, MCI Radio.
The hits just keep on coming.
Steph London Bunny remix.
Years of fresh hits, fresh talent, and connecting all universities. Download the AMCI Radio app on Google Play Store, the home of the African Voice, a free internet radio on radio.amciug.org.
It's Tunes Tuesday on the Breakfast Puzzle.
start your banana. Make some music again. Sweetie Mutila Nimutai, baby, baby, get so nice. Talira Susie, call it Uncle Susie. Who made a Navale Ebonite Nepia? Oh, yeah, on a Nesikia. I give it up, I give it up, I give it up, I give it up. See when you come from, I will stand firm, Baba. I will stand firm, Baba. I will stand firm. Oh, see when you come from, I will stand firm, Baba. I will stand firm, Baba. I will stand firm. Oh, I said to TV, Wabula Mubuzi Pude, Yuli Mudini. Remember, Sanyula, Kitty Majabu, Butai Wakulana. Back in soda, tomorrow might be a brand new one. Maybe I'll be someone, but again I need you, I need you. I need to never single step that I take. Colera Basome, Colera Bakure, Bayike, Bakore, Colera Mama Sanyuka, Mama Sanyuka, and prayer receipt. Yeah, when you come farmer, I will stand farmer. So David the room, never be good time. When you come farmer, I will stand farmer. I will stand farmer. I will stand farmer. Oh, see when you come farmer, I will stand farmer.
Beautiful gem coming in from Mr. Yeah, but either the song is confirmed, playing to you at exactly 36 minutes of 9 a.m. this beautiful morning. You're listening to The Breakfast Puzzle. My name is Elshaddai Joseph, and I'm here with Cyber UG and Matthias at the end of the day, trying to understand a couple of things in there. On that particular note, at the end of the day, we're still rolling on and, getting so much into this amazing conversation as it definitely goes ahead to happen. But before we actually do any other thing, we want to actually get to understand what really happened today, most especially on this very day, the 5th day of July 2022. And I mean, yeah, very many things happened, in the past. And, there is a wise man who actually said, for you to be able to understand where you're headed, you need to actually trace back your roots and get to understand where you came from. That's why we want to dip into the rich history of this particular world as we understand what happened where.
The past shapes the future. Get to know what happened when, where, and how on this day. Yesterday, today, on The Puzzle, bringing history to life. Stay informed, stay safe. The Puzzle, every piece in its position.
We're looking into what is coming in from the, from the world of history here on this very day, 1946. That's when the bikini were introduced. The bikinis were introduced on this very day. That was by a French designer, Louis Leonard, who unveiled a darling two-piece swimsuit on that particular one, a popular swimming pool in Paris. And of course, Parisian showgirl Micheline Benandini modeled the new fashion, which actually, was dubbed as a bikini, being inspired by a newsmaking U.S. atomic test that took place off the Bikini Atoll in the Pacific Ocean earlier that very week. So basically, if you didn't know where the bikinis started from, they started this very day. That was in Paris, that is of France, in that particular one. Do we have any other historical events, Cyber?
The other historical event, first of all, by the way, before we get any more further about this day, July 5th is the 186th day of the year. And sometime back in 1950, by the Kenneth, the law of return granted Jews the freedom to immigrate to Israel and receive immediate citizenship.
Wow.
Before then, it was a bit hard for them to immigrate to Israel. But this proved a controversial question, which brought up to ask who is a Jew, race, and other issues. That's back then in the history.
So a lot of controversy came in there.
Yeah.
Amazing. So we definitely know that history actually gets us informed about what actually really happened in that particular manner at the end of the day. We'll definitely be talking about more of those historical events. But of course, as we go on, we understand pretty much that there are people who are born on this very day who are celebrating birthdays, celebrating various events. Could be a wedding that you actually got into this very day, or maybe you are celebrating an anniversary on that particular day. So we want to stand with you and celebrate with you you big much in that particular one. Of course, we're still going on, and big time, we want to really understand a couple of other things about, innovation and in that particular one. Before we went for a break, we had a very pending question about sustainability, Matthias. We really want to understand, first of all, to contextualize the fact that very many innovators or innovations that actually come, they come and go. What could be the challenge in that particular one?
I think there's many challenges, of course, but one is it's not super easy to reach break even, right? If we talk about sustainability, we need to talk about break even, meaning you can cover your own costs. And I think there's a few things that startups need to have in mind, or early companies, and really have it as a milestone and know what does it take for me to cover my costs. We advise often, on the one hand, you need to cut down your costs. Like, don't buy T-shirts for your startup that doesn't have a customer yet. It's a waste, right? And there's a million such things. Office space, in most cases, a waste. You spend a few $100,000 a month, and that's a few $100,000 in profit that you need to make. So cut down your costs about everything that you don't need. Cut it. It's not worth it in almost all cases, because that's not what makes you a big company. So that's one thing that people maybe tend to overspend, because there is these perceptions. In order to be serious, I need office space.
So basically, sustainability of a business, you basically it on our financial management, proper financial management.
It's one of the things. But then, of course, you also need to make the revenue, right?
Yeah.
And that's not only financial management, that's actually running the business, doing sales every day. And I think very often we as founders also tend to procrastinate on it, right? Because we want to still improve the product, right? It's not yet perfect. We can't launch it yet. Oh no, we can't scale that yet. We can't roll it out. And that's a big problem. Again, a milestone before you reach break even is, for example, having your first customer, and then having your second customer, and then your 10th customer, and repeat customer, getting more and more repeat customers on board. And you need to be aggressive on this. We talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, and most of them always say, no, I have this amazing idea. I'm planning to launch it in 6 to 12 months. And that's way too far. You should have, if you have an idea, with almost every type of business, you can start to make money in 3 weeks. I challenge everyone to just think, when can you make the first revenue? Whatever it is, just get any kind of money from your customers. Because firstly, you want to prove that customers are actually willing to pay for whatever you have. Don't procrastinate on building something better and better, because you might be building a solution that doesn't even solve a problem or a need. So it's better to, even if you sell it as a service, right? Later you might productize it and standardize things, etc. But it doesn't matter. As long as there's a problem, you can probably sell something already. And it helps you with building something that they need, because you interact closely and so on. So push sales as much as you can. Launch in 3 to 4 weeks. Almost every, of course, if you're developing drugs, there's no way you need to go through long product development cycles, testing, clinical trials, etc. You can't do that. But
Matthias, we have a lot of innovations that do not make revenues immediately. Yeah. For example, media innovations, and different other innovations that we can definitely talk about. How do you advise these entrepreneurs, or actually the innovators, to create revenue models that can sustain these, innovations at the end of the day?
Yeah, so I think one big advice is have a theory, have a model, right? It's just a business model. Have an idea how you're going to be making your first revenue and money. And then don't do things that bring you closer to that. I think it's often about prioritizing, right? Like building and running a business is about prioritizing what is the most important thing that I can work on in the next half hour, in the next hour, today, this week. This is the most difficult and hardest question to answer for every entrepreneur, I think, because if you're not 100% sure how you should go about it strategically, then it's not easy to really know what you should do. But what I can say is focus all these efforts in the next hour. Think about what can you do to come closer to the next revenue. This is a generic answer, but it's of course it's a wide field, because every innovation, every potential business model is different. But it's really about building a mindset. I need to make money, and I need to make the money as soon as possible, What do I have to do so that I can monetize with this business model? And if you feel like it's impossible to monetize soon with this business model, or I don't want to build this kind of business model, then rethink. Like, learn, rethink until you have this theory that I was talking about, this business model idea that you actually want to build and that seems viable, right? And this you should do before you start running. There's not much planning. Don't write.
How about if I start and then maybe it jumps on board later on?
It's okay. It can happen, but it will take you much longer. I promise you, because it's much better to have a theory than you do something. And then after 1 or 2 weeks, you notice, oh, it's actually, you talk to customers, you try to sell, you notice it's way harder. And then you have something that you can base on to change your model. Amazing. Right? Then you test the second model if you really have seen it doesn't work, and you go. Instead of doing something random, much more random, and then something happens or it doesn't happen, right? Let's not hope. Let's be deliberate. I'm not saying write a business plan.
We need to be so much intentional.
Plans in the early stage, because it's a waste of time. A business model is just about how are we going to make money? How much are we going to be charging for what exactly? What problem are we solving with this? And then just think about what's the quickest way you can make that money. Don't overdo it. Maybe you get a good sparring partner, a mentor, but focus on as soon as possible, how can I make this money?
But then, based on reality, business and handling business cannot have a straight line in the curve. It has to be having
some curves
in there. So, can changing models have it go?
For example, a case in point, we've been hit by the coronavirus pandemic, and a lot of startups have definitely struggled to actually meet their goals at the end of the day. So, under such circumstances and uncertainties, what could definitely be maybe the fallback position?
Yeah, I mean, as an entrepreneur, generally, there are things that you can control, and there are a lot of things that you can't control. So you have to react smartly to the things that you can't control, and you have to be smart about the things that you can control and be very deliberate. For example, what we just talked about. Like, come up with a theory of how you're going to be earning money and execute it and learn and keep building that. That's something that you can control. If coronavirus hits and no one has money anymore, you can't control it. Then you have to react. And then you have to think, there's no one size fits it all because it depends on the business model.
Let's get to know about the reaction, because many more and small, medium enterprises in Uganda that were starting up were hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. Some of them have even not gotten back to
many spaces.
Yeah. So get us into a view on how we can react about this.
Yeah. So first, what is your business model? Because finally, reaction also depends on still trying to get the money in, right? So what's your business model? If you don't have a business model yet and the pandemic hits, still get a business model. Like, come up with this theory and idea.
Another one? Another business model?
Yeah, another one or the same. But if you have something, you're generating revenue, the first evaluation is, can people still pay for the same? Is there another customer segment that can pay? Or you have conversations with your current customers. Hey, how is the pandemic changing your life, and what does that mean for your media consumption? Maybe you need to offer something else to the same customers. Maybe you find a new opportunity there. Maybe they need certain types of information that you can monetize. Maybe you also can, as you said, think outside the box, think of new models. Maybe you have certain assets and resources, such as a reach out to a few thousand people that could be interesting for NGOs or government that are now planning for response, and they need this kind of data or information. I don't know, it really depends on your model. So it's very hard to say something generic, but go from what you have and then learn about how the situation exactly changes for your customer group, for whatever networks and assets you have, and then potentially there's new models, but you need to react probably.
You need to react and rethink the process as well. Amazing. We are definitely left with about 10 minutes to the top of the hour. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank each and every single person that is actually still glued onto MCI Radio. We can actually say that you guys are the reason as to why we wake up each and every single morning to come and speak to us. Special shout outs to all guilty presidents across several universities here in Uganda. Mr. Blessed Atwine from Cavendish University. Thank you so much for being part of the show. And of course, we do have a Shamim Nambasa from Makere University. We have Chienga Rogers from Makere University Business School. And of course, Mutabas Elijah from St. Lawrence University School. At the end of the day, we want to send shout-outs to you at the end of the day. Let's get into our sports segment here to find out what's happening in the world of sport. And then we'll definitely come and conclude on what we'll definitely be communicating in this particular manner.
Are you a sports fan, lover of soccer, athletics, boxing, rugby, all to what happens in the world of sports? Stay tuned onto the puzzle right here on MCI Radio.
Well, there is a lot that is actually happening in the world of sport here in Uganda and across the entire continent and even the globe at large. But of course, starting off this beautiful morning, AFCON has actually come out to postpone. They have confirmed the 2023 African Cup of Nations this English will one day kill me. A postponement has actually been approved in that particular one. Initially, it was scheduled to actually kick off on June 23rd to July 23rd, 2023, but it has now been postponed to January and February 2023. The African Football Boss actually made the announcement in Lambert, Morocco at the end of the meeting of the Executive Committee of the CAF. So basically, the dates have changed in that particular one. Of course, this has actually come in a wake to actually see that they stabilize the calendar of the African Cup of Nations in this particular manner that is slated to actually take place in Ivory Coast at the end of the day. So to all football fanatics, you will definitely wait a little bit longer to actually see that this comes through at the end of the day. But moving on swiftly, again, talking about, there are rumors. I don't know how you people are going to perceive this, but there are rumors that Ronaldo is set to join Messi at PSG. I don't know how true that is, but of course, rumors indicate that he has sold his Manchester United home and he has handed in his transfer request before this particular window closes. I don't know, Saiba.
It's just rumors, but Manchester United is working whatever they can to keep Ronaldo stay at the Old Trafford.
But man can't play Europa League. He can't play Europa League.
Yeah, he cannot because he's Mr. Champions League, as he states, because and the brand, because these people have been competing. When you see Messi is going to be playing Champions League, and then Ronaldo will not be there, the competition and the news around Ronaldo will be a bit changed.
But of course, let's just get into maybe the other way of thinking, hypothetically. What if it really happens, Messi and Ronaldo at one team, even if it's only one season? How would that be? I don't know if, Matthias, are you a football fan?
Not too much. I'm from Munich, so if anything, if I'm a Munich fan, of course.
Yeah, you got Sadio Mane from Africa now.
But not too much. There's little time.
Little time for soccer. I don't know.
Businessman.
What could be the reaction like, most especially, when these particular two people meet? Once, I don't want to use the word enemies because they are not, but competitors.
I'm not sure it will happen. I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
Yeah.
All right, let's actually see how it definitely grow on. But of course, Hamilton, Hames, Verstappen and dig after a sensible, lacquer fight in that particular one. And of course, looking into rugby, the GPS starts helping Super League stars shine. How the GPS stars, which actually will be shown on Sky Sport at Magic Weekend, are benefiting from players in the Super League. That and more is what we'll definitely be getting later on into the day as we indulge into sports. And of course, looking into this very one, Nadal motors through the day with fleets while Halep crushes Badosa. That is all what is coming in from the world of tennis in that particular manner at the end of the day. 7 minutes to the top of the hour, ladies and gentlemen. We want to conclude with this particular one. Matthias, as we conclude on this particular conversation, is there a future in innovation, most especially in Africa? From your own observation and for the time that you've been actually able to support startups, is there a future foreseen? Should we just continue pressing on in that particular way?
100%, for sure. And it's just going to get better and better as the infrastructures around it get better. There's initiatives in the investment space so that financing innovations get better. There's better and better support infrastructure and systems, and the need is there and will always be there. That's for sure. It's not an easy space. It's always difficult. It's a hustle in the beginning. It takes time. It needs guts, and it needs grit and perseverance and hard work every day to focus and prioritize properly. It's not everyone's journey, and one needs to be honest and feel the passion to be able to do it, I think. But there's so much going to be happening, and for the better and for the good.
Amazing. We just want to appreciate you so much, Matthias, for sparing some time to actually come and speak to us. Spend, hoping 2 hours in this particular space as we move on to understand. We've been so much blessed with, the pool of knowledge that you have for startups and actually the passion to support innovators, most especially within the East African region at the end of the day. Special shout out to the entire team at Startup Africa. We want to, say thank you so much for actually being key, contributors, most especially in transforming the change makers that we actually believe in at the end of the day. Many thanks to you, Matthias.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. I don't know what you guys are definitely doing, but for me, I definitely have 5 minutes to bounce out of this particular place. The breakfast puzzle, it actually gets done in a few. And it's always, a pleasure to actually wake up to you and making sure that we serve you better, board and collected at the end of the day. Cyber, what's up? What plans do we have for today?
Our plans for today, before we get to the plans, I want to remind them about the social media handles. Twitter at MCI Radio UG, Instagram at MCI Radio UG, Facebook at MCI Radio, TikTok, MCI Radio UG, YouTube, where we've been live from the very first startup of the show, at MCI Radio UG, website at mciradio.live. Then, of course, on our WhatsApp line, where you can now, of course, send an audio note and, of course, also text. It's 077 05 31 962. And hashtag is MCI Radio everywhere. The plan for today, I'm so happy for, hosting Mr. Matthias today. It's been a pleasure. We appreciate you for, the words that you've given out to the African, everybody in Africa, because this is our radio getting to share everything for the African voices. African voices today in the world of business and innovators through entrepreneurship. Thank you so much for your time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks. We'll definitely bounce out this particular place. Coming up next will be Changamuka na Vijana with Glory Jolly. Of course, we'll be taking you all the way till 11 later on. We shall have Campus Connect with Big Boy Shaq. And of course, DJ Tracy will be here with the mashup later on in the day. Just keep it MCA Radio for African Voices. We are out of this particular place. We'll leave with you a beautiful jam coming in from Jill Joe and Kei Sheko. Title of the song is Shakers. Enjoy it. We'll definitely meet tomorrow on the Winning Wednesday. Good morning.
Said I was signed, but now I see. Oh yeah. Said I was bound, but now I'm free. Oh yeah. Said you took the chains off of my feet, and you showed me life so differently. You took the shackles